Alright guys, we're in the second week of June now. We're going to dive right into some reviews. We got 6 movies to talk about. 3 got physically, 3 were watched on streaming services. So let's dive right in. The first thing here would be The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which we watched HBO Max. It was a day and date Warner Brothers film. So, as I've talked about the previous 2 review videos, I've been watching the Conjuring movies, getting ready for the third one. And I really loved the first one. The second one I enjoyed quite a bit, so was curious to check out number 3. And this movie definitely is not like the previous 2. It is more of a police procedural film, honestly. So I was hoping that when it was more police procedural, we would get more like courtroom stuff. But that did not happen. It was definitely like straight up police procedural. There were some horror elements, but you know, if Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga weren't in this movie, it would have been rough to get through. Honestly, not as enjoyable as the previous 2, for sure. Different director, which you could totally feel, and also there were a few scenes that I felt blatantly were ripped from classic horror movies. There's a scene that I believe somebody's using an axe or a hammer through a door, very Shining-esque. There's another scene where a priest pulls up to a house. It is pretty much directly pulled from The Exorcist. Like the lighting, the way it was shot, it just felt very weird. And I don't know if it was this director trying to play homage to horror movies of the past, but and the fact that this wasn't really a horror movie, in my opinion, it was more like a thriller, where the first 2 movies are horror movies. So it was still a good movie. I'm not saying it was bad. I give it a 3 out of 5. But like I said, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga really saved this film from probably 2-star territory, honestly. So 3 out of 5 for The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Next up, this was exciting because it was the last movie on my Pixar to watch list. And up until this point, I had then seen all Pixar movies. I've still seen all Pixar movies. Spoiler for a future video, I've seen Luca. So the movie is A Bug's Life, which I watched on 4K. This is my beautiful 4K Steelbook. Yeah, this had been on my watch list for a very long time. It just kind of got pushed to the side. We were looking for something to watch with RJ, and we watched A Bug's Life, and I'm glad we did. I enjoyed it. It's probably right in the middle of the Pixar pack, like middle lower, not like upper tier Pixar, but I enjoyed it. It's a fun movie for what it is. I've now seen all Pixar movies, which is pretty cool. I have it ranked at number 15. This was prior to me seeing Luca, out of 23 movies. So like I said, mid-lower pack. The voice cast is really good in this movie. The movie itself is fun. You know, I always say a lower tier Pixar movie, it's like a Marvel comic book movie. A low tier Marvel comic book movie is still better than most other comic book movies, in my opinion. And it's the same for Pixar movies. A low-tier Pixar movie is usually better than most animated movies the last 25 years. So, Bug's Life, I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Glad to have watched it. And, yeah. Plus, I love the Steelbook, honestly. So, the next thing we watched was In the Heights, also on HBO Max, another day-and-date release for Warner Brothers. And I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I'll start out by saying I am a big fan of Hamilton, the music in Hamilton. I've watched the movie once. I really enjoyed the movie. But this movie was just great. It was directed by John M. Chu, who directed Crazy Rich Asians. And this guy just can make an epic film. Like, it is both movies, like the Crazy Rich Asians is about like the rich Asian lifestyle and how he made everything colorful and vibrant and huge, where you needed to, it felt like, I really wish I would have seen this on the big screen, because this movie immersed you into New York, and the musical numbers were big, and I just really enjoyed it. This is a musical through and through. People breaking out in the songs further the storyline, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was a Broadway play written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and like I said, John M. Chu directed it. Fantastic performances in this film. Anthony Ramos, who plays Unsavi, the lead character, is great in this movie, but the standout for me was Gregory Diaz IV, who plays Sonny, who's a kid who works at the bodega with Unsavi, and his character is so good. I love his character arc in the film. The colors in the movie are vibrant. The music was catchy and enjoyable. I think if the runtime was shorter, RJ would have really liked this movie. He really liked the first hour. By an hour and 40 minutes, he started getting a little antsy because it is almost 2 hours and 25 minutes. But if you're a fan of musicals, I think you will love this movie. If you're not a fan of musicals, just don't bother watching it. But I love the movie. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. It is actually my top movie of 2021 so far. It surpassed everything else that I've seen, so that is pretty cool. And yeah, In the Heights, 4.5 out of 5. The next thing we watched was pretty wild because we had to watch it on Netflix because I thought I owned it, but apparently I do not, which is okay. It's not a movie that I necessarily love. I remember watching it and enjoying it, but thinking it felt too much like the director's previous movie, Napoleon Dynamite. And that is Nacho Libre, starring Jack Black, where Jack Black works in like a mission and he takes care of kids. He's the cook and they have no money. And he loves wrestling, but wrestling's forbidden. But he decides to be a lucha libre wrestler. And this homeless guy who mugs Jack Black and takes all the orphans' food ends up being his tag team partner. The movie just is bizarre, but it's pretty funny. I had been wanting to show it to RJ, and we finally sat down and watched it. And RJ enjoyed it. I think it relies a little too heavy on fart jokes. There's a lot of like over the top, out of nowhere fart jokes that I felt were unnecessary. But there were a few lines that really had me laughing out loud. But like I said, RJ enjoyed the movie quite a bit, so that's the important part, because I had seen the movie once before, and like I said, I was just like, this is a less funny Napoleon Dynamite for me. But I gave it a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed Nacho Libre on a rewatch. Nothing fantastic, but watchable. The next thing was a movie sent to me from Lionsgate Home Entertainment, and it's a 2021 film, and when I saw the trailers for this, I thought it looked really interesting, and there was a good young cast, and this was written and directed by Neil Berger, and that is Voyagers, which stars Ty Sheridan, Lily Rose Depp, Colin Farrell. Fionn Whitehead was in this movie. The kid who plays Bram from Game of Thrones, I never remember his name. Isaac Hempstead Wright, that's his name. And other familiar faces. The kid who was the main star in Blinded by the Lights in it. And a couple other people that I recognize. So, Voyagers, you know, the trailer made me think it was going to be like a sci-fi coming-of-age film. And that's what it was to an extent, but this was more Lord of the Flies in space. I mean, if you're familiar with Lord of the Flies, that is what this movie is, but on a spaceship in outer space. That's all. Like, that is what this movie is. It felt so much like Lord of the Flies that by the third act, I was kind of taken out of it because I knew where the story was going. Like I said, it's a great young cast. It is a watchable movie. It is the perfect like one-time watch film because I don't think anybody will have desire to watch this multiple times over, but still a enjoyable enough film. The story just wasn't fresh. It was Lord of the Flies on a spaceship. So, yeah, Voyagers, I gave a 2.5 out of 5 too. And then the last movie we watched is a movie that I've been wanting to rewatch for such a long time. I used to watch this a lot when I was younger with my sister. This and Dead Man on Campus and Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. The Faculty, like in that time period. This was another movie I watched quite a bit and is from 1998, and that is Disturbing Behavior with Nick Stahl, James Marsden, and Katie Holmes. This is a movie that there's a particular quote in the film that I use quite often when I see a shoppy, and if you're familiar with the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It has to do with a yogurt shoppy. And my sister and I used to quote that quite a bit when we were younger as well. But this is a fun R-rated film. It's funny, it is an hour and 24 minutes. The first 5 minutes or 6 minutes of this movie is like the credits, but it's basically like a weird music video. And then the movie's only like an hour and 15 minutes because then there's more credits at the end. So it's very short. I didn't realize how short it was. But it's basically like a more modern, darker take on the Stepford Wives, where these preppy kids in high school are being brainwashed and snap and feed on other people, and they're always recruiting new members into the club. And the music in the movie is really good. It's very of its times. Katie Holmes' wardrobe choices are of its time. I believe Katie Holmes did this before she did Dawson's Creek, or at the same time when she started Dawson's Creek. But it's just a fun movie. It's nothing amazing, but glad to own it. I was glad I finally got to rewatch it. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It is a fun watch. So Disturbing Behavior. And that is it, guys. That is all I watched week 2 of June. So thank you guys for checking out this video. I appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy it. Give the video a thumbs up if you did. Let me know what you thought of my reviews. Let me know what you guys have been checking out. And be sure to go down in the description box. It's down here below me. And below me. Anyway, links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, where I review all the movies I watch, my Blu-ray.com profile, my eBay store, Amazon wishlist, P.O. Box, email address, all can be found down below. So that is it, guys. As always, until next time, who's down the movie? Baby.